Welcome to GroundWorkBJJ and the third episode in our interview series. This time we're talking with the first American, male or female, to win Olympic gold in Judo, Kayla Harrison. Kayla's going to talk with us about her preparation for the Rio Olympics, weight cutting, training at Henzo's Academy, her own experiences with sexual abuse, her rumored entry into MMA, and more. So let's get started. Kayla, welcome and thanks so much for taking the time to talk with us.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Okay, first off, I've been watching your gold medal match in London, and I saw that finish, and the first thing I thought was, that would be a great entry to an armbar. What technique was that?
Against the British girl in the final?
Yes.
When I threw her or when the match ended?
When the match ended.
That was a move. She was down on her knees, and
yes.
So I went in to do what we in Judo call the British strangle.
Okay.
So basically, it's a choke, and you sort of do like a front flip through them into it.
Right.
But a lot of times, what we actually do at my club is they know that the choke is coming because it's such a popular move. So while they're defending the choke, you go for the armbar, and it's usually wide open because they're so worried about getting choked.
Right.
So we actually do drill that. So yeah, that's funny that you point that out.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Okay, yeah. So you're getting ready for Rio in 2016, correct?
I am. Yep.
Beautiful. How's that going?
It's going really good. I'm recovering from knee surgery right now, so I'm not technically on the mat, but I'll be back on the mat in January, and I'll start the qualification process along with the rest of the athletes. So I'm excited. This time off has been good for me to get hungry again.
Yeah, that's awesome. So good luck once you do get going. So you're training jiu-jitsu with Henzo right now?
Yeah, I do a bit of jiu-jitsu with Henzo, and also Travis Stevens just got his black belt in BJJ from Henzo and John Donaher. So I roll around with them.
That's crazy. So does that help your judo at all? I know, they're related arts, but
yeah, it's really interesting for me because to me it's a completely different sport. Like it's just a totally different animal, and it's fun to get out there and I only have, I guess, like what you would say, like a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. So it's fun for me to learn a lot of new things, a lot of new intricacies to moves that I already do, but make it that much better. Jiu-jitsu is so slow. So it's like I love the detail that's put into each and every move, and I like the challenge of trying to take that detail and make it work for judo. Okay. So I really enjoy it. It's fun for me.
Okay. There have been rumors about you signing with an MMA management company, which of course gets people talking about you actually doing MMA. Have you thought about that at all?
I definitely have thought about MMA. I'm not going to lie. For athletes, especially combat athletes, it's a very good segue into a nice little financial career. When you're an Olympic athlete, there's no doubt about it. You do it for the love of the sport. You do it because you love it, and not with hopes of having any monetary.
Right, you're not becoming a millionaire.
Right, you're not going to become a millionaire when you do judo in the United States. But MMA is different, but it's also different in the sense that it's very much an entertainment. Judo is an Olympic sport. It has the highest ideals of sport, and it shows that. It's all about the culture, and it's all about showing respect and, that sort of thing. And MMA is, to me, it's very much entertainment. It's about entertaining the fans. It's about putting on a good show. It's about getting the hype up for a big fight. So if I were to do MMA, I would have to come to terms with that because I'm not much of a trash talker. I'm not very much of a showboater. I'm not stylistically, I don't win. If you watch most of my matches and you don't know judo, they're probably really boring because I just go out there for the win. I don't go out there to, showboat.
Right.
So it would be a big adjustment for me. But I have been doing a little bit of boxing because my knee injury. I haven't been able to do judo, so I can move my arms though.
Okay.
So I've been trying that out, seeing how I like it, and I don't hate it. So that's
Right.
that's a good sign.
Well, I mean, if not MMA, have you ever considered competitions like ADCC, like larger grappling tournaments?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that would be a lot of fun.
It's cool to be great to see you out there.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that would be a very, I think that would be a really cool transition from my judo career. You know, if I'm not completely done with combat sports
right.
altogether after Rio, which that could also be the case.
Well, do you think Rio will be your last Olympics, or would you look into 2020?
No, Rio will definitely be my last Olympics.
Okay. Okay, well, I wanted to shift into a topic that's very pertinent to jiu-jitsu right now and something that you have personal experience with. One of your former coaches was sentenced to 10 years in prison for a relationship that he initiated with you. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yep. So I was sexually abused by my first coach.
Mm-hmm.
It started when I was really young. I was a child, and when I was 16, I came out and finally told a very close friend of mine, who in turn made me tell my mother that Daniel had been sexually abusing me. And so from there, my mom immediately pressed charges, and now he's serving a 10-year federal prison sentence. And I moved to Boston to continue my training and train with the Pedros. And thank goodness I found them, because they changed my life and saved my life. And yeah, that's kind of my story in a quick little.
Yeah. Did they, well, how did that change, like, say how you do, because you're obviously training with men now with jiu-jitsu and judo. How did that change how you deal with men on the mats, if at all?
I don't think that it changed the way I deal with men on the mat at all.
Okay.
You know, obviously I was a child, so it's a little bit, it's quite a different dynamic there. It was a coach-athlete relationship. He was in a position of power, and I trusted him and looked up to him and revered him and wanted to do anything to please him. And that's, you know, that's also the case with the Pedros. You know, I think that that's quite a testament to them, that I trusted them. They became like a family to me. They are like my family. And they also, you know, were in a huge position of power. But look at how different the outcome was. You know, now I'm an Olympic champion.
Right, so because they were using their power positively. They even, if I'm correct, they actually encourage you in your therapy process, correct?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the first order of business when I moved to Boston was to get me help.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any advice for someone who's trying to recover from abuse and if they want to continue training?
Yeah, I think that, you know, first of all, I would just say that, you know, I know that you're going through hell, and I know that it feels like you may never be happy again, but I can promise you that you will be if you do the work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen instantly, but if you surround yourself with people who believe in you and people who are supportive of you, there's nothing you can't overcome. And one of the biggest lessons that the Pedros taught me is that you're only a victim if you allow yourself to be.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I decided that I wasn't going to be a victim, and I wasn't going to let this define me anymore. And that helped a lot. You know, it helped a great deal. And I also think that having something like judo saved my life. You know, it's a place where you can go and you don't have to worry about anything. You just focus on that person in front of you and whatever it is you're trying to do.
Right. You were and you were pretty young, but were there any red flags that you could tell other people who were training to look out for, or like boundary pushing or any kind of victim grooming that you remember?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There are thousands of studies on grooming and, you know, the process that it has. And, you know, from my story, you know, the biggest thing I tell parents is to watch, to talk to their children, you know. I mean, something, again, my coaches said that just totally blows my mind, but makes sense is, you know, you wouldn't trust a stranger with your car. You wouldn't just give them your keys to your car and say, go ahead,
Right.
take her first spin. Yet in America, we are so obsessed with success that we hand over our children like it's, you know, with the hopes of them becoming the next Michael Phelps or the next Tiger Woods or
Wow.
the next, you know, and we let these people in,
Right.
without ever knowing really anything about them. So
Right.
we as parents and we as a society have to be conscious of that. You know, we have to understand that it is, we are in control of our children, and we are in charge of who talks to them and you know, grooms them. And yeah, a lot of coaches groom them to be the next Michael Phelps or the next Tiger Woods, but there are also people who prey on children and who put themselves in those positions of power for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Now, USA Judo, they actually did step in, and he's been banned for life. Jiu-jitsu, we're in a little bit of a different situation. Our governing body doesn't, I don't want to say they don't have as much power, but it's not quite as structured. It's still a younger martial art.
Yeah.
How has the judo community as a whole, just, you know, on a social level and, you know, even at like an executive level, how have they reacted to you being vocal about your experiences?
Well, you know, at first, obviously, because I was a minor, I wasn't named in the trial process.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I remember there were a lot of, you know, online forums discussing whether or not, I mean, everyone knew who it was because judo is such a small community.
Right.
But you know, there were people discussing whether or not I was, you know, at the time I was 16, so I should know better, and you know, all these things that just make a victim feel like it's their fault. And I read the article that you sent about what happened in the jiu-jitsu community, and I was pretty shocked and appalled, and I wasn't that surprised though, because
Right.
that is our society. But fortunately for me, you know, like I said, I do have people around me who are nothing but compassionate and positive and supportive. And USA Judo has really, has definitely taken that stance, you know, no tolerance for that sort of thing. And I hope that I have something to do with it. I am what you could say, I guess, one of the poster girls for judo. So I do have a very strong opinion on sexual violence and sexual abuse, and they have chosen to support me in that, and I'm very grateful for that, because a lot of people don't want to talk about it and don't want to hear about it and don't want to think about it, because it is such a taboo in our society, and the only way we can stop it is by talking about it and hearing about it and thinking about it and putting a stop to it.
Just a hypothetical, do you think he would have been removed if charges hadn't been filed, or if, you know, if he hadn't actually been prosecuted?
No, I don't think he would have been removed.
Okay. All right. Going back to Jimmy Pedro and his father, you used to cut weight to make your divisions and competitions.
Yep.
But he had you stop doing that because you were cutting about 20 pounds at a time. Why exactly did you stop?
Because I was 16 and I was a growing girl, and it's
Right.
extremely unhealthy. I mean, it's just the toll it takes on your body is physical and it's long lasting. You know, I can't tell you how many friends of mine in the judo world alone, you know, stopped having their menstrual cycle or started to lose their hair or like just, you know, it's not healthy and it's dangerous. It's really, really dangerous. And, you know, the Pedros were of the mindset that if you're going to win, you'll win at whatever weight class you fight at. It doesn't matter who else is in front of you. It's your job to win, you know? And they were right. I'm very glad that I listened to them. I didn't want to.
Right.
Because, I mean, you know, you're brainwashed to think that, no, thinner is better, and, you know, if I fight a lighter weight class, and then I can gain more weight back faster, and I'll be bigger and stronger, and it's just not the case, you know. And now I've come to terms with the fact that, you know, this is what I weigh naturally. This is where I fight, and I'm gonna beat whoever steps across the mat for me. but not only in the sport aspect, but in my role in society as well, you know. You look at the covers on magazines and you look at models and you look at what our young children, our young girls are told is beautiful, and it's wrong. That's not what beauty is, you know. Being healthy is beautiful. Being fit is beautiful, and I want girls to know that.
Does that play into judo at all? Because you don't really think, I mean, people talk about it saying like gymnastics or figure skating, like your actual physical aesthetic. You don't really hear about it in judo. Is there more of a pressure to stay thin for just your actual appearance reasons in judo?
No, I mean,
okay.
There's not really, I just think it's as an American girl.
Gotcha.
You know?
Okay.
I don't think in the judo community there is at all.
Okay, what do you think of grappling arts being used as self-defense? Do you think, because, you know, it's marketed a lot that way, do you think it's useful at all, or do you think it's more of just a business thing that's popular?
Grappling as self-defense?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, yeah, I think it's great. I don't think it's a business ploy at all. I think it's very honest and true. I think that the best form of I'm biased, but I honestly think one of the best forms of self-defense is judo, because It's all about taking the person's momentum and using it against them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if a 120-pound girl tries to punch a 200-pound man, it's not going to be that effective. But if she can, as he's punching her, turn and use all of his power and throw him where he lands on concrete, and I mean, that's going to be much more effective.
Definitely. So you've been involved a lot, you know, just from, you know, being in the Olympics and just what you do in the community and spreading judo. Would you have any advice for jiu-jitsu as a whole as the community grows and as the sport becomes more popular?
What, do I have any advice for the jiu-jitsu community?
Yes.
I'm wondering if they have any advice for me. They are growing at an exponential rate. I want to know what the secret is. I would like for that to happen with judo. So
it's the geese.
No, I think that they're doing a great job. I think that you know, it has definitely taken a hold in America, and it's going wild. It's spreading like wildfire, which is exciting. You know, because it is a martial art and it is a grappling sport, and in the end, I think that that's good for everybody. And the more exposure we get, the better it is for not only us, but for, you know, our society. I think that we have, I have quite an interesting generation of people that are my peers. So if we have something that'll toughen them up a little bit, I'm all for it.
Well, would you ever consider teaching, you know, to help toughen up your generation?
Oh my gosh, I love teaching. Not my generation,
right?
But I do. I love working with kids, and I do give a lot of clinics all over the country and some cases the world. And I used to actually teach the 4 to 6-year-old class at Jimmy before life got crazy. But yeah, I love working with kids, and I love teaching. But there's definitely a difference between teaching and coaching.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I would make a good coach, because then you have to put up with divas like me. And I don't know if I have any patience for that, but I do really enjoy teaching. Very much so.
Beautiful. Well, is there anything you'd like to add? Any shout-outs to sponsors or additional advice for people out there?
Well, I'd love to thank my sponsors. NeoCell is one of my big sponsors. That's a collagen-based nutrition drink that I would encourage everyone to check out, because it helps make me strong. And just my coaches and my family and everyone who's been supportive with me on my journey. I'm very thankful. Also, Fuji Sports. We are in the process of some very exciting stuff, so I'd like to thank them. And be on the lookout, you jiu-jitsu girls, for some very cool stuff coming from Fuji.
Nice.
In the future. I think that's it.
Okay. Well, good luck in Rio. We look forward to you to bringing home another gold.
Thank you very much. I look forward to doing that as well.
All right. Thank you, Kayla.
Thanks.